Welcome to the Zhineng Qigong community podcast, Wisdom Qigong Uncovered. My name is Thorsten Lüdecke, and this is today's story. The diagnosis of a fatal disease would come as a shock to anyone. Even more so if one of your parents fell victim to the same disease and it is discovered that it runs in your genes. How do you transform this information, deal with the emotions of fear, and build the confidence that you can raise above and heal completely? When Maike was diagnosed with early stages of ALS, she took things into her own hands and started an extraordinary journey towards complete recovery. Let's dive right in. Thank you very much for joining today. We're going to dive right in because your story with Zhineng Qigong and discovering what's possible started with a diagnosis or a possible diagnosis for ALS.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you want to explain a little bit about your family history and what happened exactly and how you discovered.
My mother got sick with ALS when she was in her mid-30s, like 33, 34 years old, and she died 3 years later. And this is how I grew up, what I learned about this disease. And from this point on, she was the only one, the first one in the family, so no one would think about, okay, it could be a genetical thing or whatever. It would just like bad luck. This was what everyone was assuming. And when I turned 32, 33, I discovered some mild symptoms in my body that could be connected to this kind of disease, which is a neurological disease related to the motor neurons in the brain that are responsible for our movements of the muscles. The motor neurons in the brain and the brain stem, they control every action of the muscle and the nervous system. And so, because I was very aware of this disease and what it could cause, I went to a doctor and I saw like 2 or 3 different neurologists, and they did several tests. And one found that there are early signs of this kind of disease. There are different muscle testings, and so they said, it's possible that you are also affected by this disease. And at the same time, because I have 2 siblings, one is my sister, one my brother, and my sister, she decided to get tested genetically if this is something that runs in our family, that was first discovered maybe or expressed in my mother. And she did this testing, and they found a gene in her genetics that is possibly linked to ALS. And so I got tested as well, and I as well have this gene. And so this was the information I had to this point. And yes, so this is when it started that I was looking for any option to deal with this situation, because there is no known cure so far for ALS or motor neuron diseases, how it's mostly called in English. So there's only some things to help with getting along in your daily life, some assistant things like wheelchairs or whatever. It's a progressive disease that goes sometimes slower, sometimes a bit quicker, and basically people lose their muscle strength and control, so that they need help pretty soon. So I was looking around, so what could I do, because this is a really devastating thing to know about yourself and your life. And so this is where I started.
And yeah, and ALS usually it leads to death eventually, right? Because the
Yes.
heart muscle is also affected, and then at one point there's no way forward. So you said, okay, well, I know that Western medicine doesn't have an answer. Let me see what else is there. Is there someone out there who has an offer to make that could possibly work for me? Is that how you approached it, or?
Yes. Yes, this is how basically how I approached it. I mean, I think the heart muscle, it's not sure if it's affected, but most people die from respiratory failure because they can't breathe anymore, or they
Okay.
I don't know, have lung infections. So I was searching for any possibilities, and at first I found a really good holistic doctor who is not in Leipzig, unfortunately, but in Brandenburg and close to Berlin, which is okay to drive for, I don't know, 1-2 hours there. And he was looking at me, not at a disease. He was looking at the whole body. And he was looking, okay, how's everything working inside your body? The cells, how are they communicating? Is everything all right with your nutrition and whatever? So this is how I started. And he had a really strict protocol, which I followed. And I went to Berlin like once a week before work to see him and to have this kind of treatment. But yeah, this was the one side. But on the other side, like I was emotionally really frightened. I was so scared.
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't know what will happen to me. I just knew how it went with my mother. And so I was looking for something that could, give me some strength from within, not only a medicine, but some strength from within, is like a perspective. And this is how, I researched, and then I found a group in the internet that is called Healing ALS. It's mostly people from the United States. And there was one woman, there were, I don't know, some people that tried different approaches. And then there was this one woman, and she practiced Zhineng Qigong. And she had a really severe form of ALS and frontotemporal dementia. Yeah, so she also had this dementia part, and she was practicing, and she really had good results. She really could stabilize her well-being and improve her health. And so this is how I get first to know Zhineng Qigong.
I think the first lesson that always, whenever people tell me stories like this, the first thing that I'm reminded of is that so often when we go to the doctor, we get a wrong information, which is they give you a diagnosis and then they say there's nothing one can do. While really what they should say is there's nothing I can do as your doctor, because in my realm of knowledge, there is nothing. I don't know what I can do. But that really doesn't mean, that there are not other approaches. And I can't remember, I don't know any disease where there hasn't been other approaches that actually healed people. So I think this is an important message for everyone who gets a devastating diagnosis. All they are saying is, with their tool set, they don't know how to deal with this issue.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that there isn't somebody out with a different tool set, that could very well work. And you gave us this example of the lady in the US who was had a much more severe stage already of ALS, and she could work with Zhineng Qigong. And obviously that seems to have inspired you, right? So how did your story continue?
Yeah. So I'm not living in the US. I live in Germany. And so I was searching for someone practicing Zhineng Qigong in Germany. And I'm really lucky that there's so many people in Germany practicing and teaching Zhineng Qigong. And I found a wonderful teacher, and she offered a 1 week retreat, like one-on-one retreat. So I stayed with her for 1 week, and I had Qigong lessons on one-on-one basis, not a group. It was really individual. And this was my start. And I think for me, it was really good that I found this really intensive start, that we practice really every day.
Yes.
So that it was not like, okay, half an hour every second week or so, but really 1 week in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. We were practicing. And
can I ask for the name of that teacher?
Yeah, that was Birgit.
Birgit Petersen?
Birgit. Yeah, Becker Petersen. Becker
Wonderful. Okay,
Petersen.
great. We'll put your contact details in the show notes because I think that's also quite unique to have an offer where you can practice one-on-one for a week. It's actually the first time I hear that, and it's obviously great because basically, when you think of the Waksha Center, where the whole medicineless hospital started. And where Qigong was used to tackle diseases like this, people would also practice, basically 8 hours a day, and would always be in an environment. So I think you kind of, did the right thing here, and not just to learn a exercise and do 15 minutes a day and hope things will get better, but you really dive deep into it, understanding that this is a very serious matter. So sorry if I'm talking too much here now, but I want to point this out because a lot of people I know that have a serious diagnosis, they don't have the same kind of commitment. They say, I wish I could practice more, but I've got my job, I've got my family, etc., etc. And I say, look, this is your life now. This is not, just, okay, will my kids get a hot meal this evening? I'm sure there's a solution to find. And I'm sure somebody's going to take care of your husband's laundry. So, make yourself priority here. Do what you need to do. And in this case, you did that. You went there and spent, your whole day practicing Zhineng Qigong. I just needed to say that because so often I'm frustrated. If people have a serious diagnosis and they say, I don't have the time to do anything about it. That's really, really sad to hear that. But I'm glad you acted different. You responded different. So please continue.
Yes, so this was my entrance in Zhineng Qigong, and so I was, it was a wonderful weekend. I'm really, really grateful for Birgit and her teaching and whatever. So it was really good, and so I started from there. And then I had a little toolkit that I could use at home, to deepen my practice and to really practice on my own. And I found it really helpful to not always practice on my own. So at first I attended some online courses as well. And then I joined a different, like a retreat with Master Zhu Ping he's located in the UK at the moment. And he was with other German teachers. They offered a retreat so that I could deepen it. And that was really, really important for me because the first thing that was so important is that in Zhineng Qigong, we do the physical practice. That's for sure. But the most important thing is the information practice, to change the information about yourself, your life, whatever. So, and this is something that I really want to point out to anyone who's listening here. This is what I spent. I mean, I practiced the physical movements as well, but what really I found really helpful was spending a lot of time in changing the information. You can use different tools. I used writing, for example. So I wrote down, I had like files of pages and pages where I wrote down the information I want to have about my life. I don't want to have this illness information. I want to have, so how will I live? How will I feel? How will I look? How will I move? So to really repeat it, to write it and read it and write it and read it again and again, until it's really internalized. And then use this information in the Qigong practice. Because this is what every teacher, every master is saying. The information is so crucial in this practice. It's not enough if you do hold up, put you down twice a day. You really need to change the information about yourself and your health and your well-being, your life, whatever.
I mean, this is a vital point that you're raising there. And you were coming from, when you explained earlier, you also had to deal with your emotional state. And the emotional state was the result of you having information like, oh my God, I've got something really serious. And what is my path going to be? And, and all the worries and concern. And that is obviously a very, very important part to transform this information into seeing yourself healthy, imagining, how your future looks like, and seeing yourself walking and playing and running and having fun and smiling and all of that. Because that is the information that you put out there and the body will respond. No matter, whether we're talking about Zhineng Qigong theory here, where this is very obvious, but it's also true in other theories theories, that we know that the body responds to our thoughts. So it is like giving the right instruction to the body to do whatever needs to be done to be healthy. So I'm glad you followed that. Although I must say, I mean, a lot of people find that very difficult when they get the diagnosis. Now, what helped you to actually, get there? Because it also doesn't help to fool yourself. There's no point, standing in front of the mirror and just saying, I'm healthy, while you have the dialogue, oh my God, what's going to happen with me? So how did you get to that point?
I mean, at first for me, it was, I didn't share the illness information with many people. I took, I don't know, 2 or 3 people. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 years ago when I got the diagnosis. And for example, I told my parents just 1 month ago. I didn't tell them all the time because it was so important for me to not have the information myself and that other people don't see me as the sick person, Right. So I picked 2 or 3 people that I knew that would support me in whatever I chose to do, or even help me in looking up different approaches and whatever, or practice Qigong with me. And so yeah, I didn't share the illness information. So this is maybe one point. And then, I mean, there were lots of days and weeks where I was struggling or not really believing myself, what I was saying or writing down in my files with all these positive things. But for me, it was more the feeling like I have no other option. I have to do this. And then I did, and I felt like constantly, things changing. Even if I didn't feel a change in my body, but I felt a change in how I was feeling in that day, in the moment. So how I was feeling in my workplace or with other people. So I just felt these little changes. And so I just discovered this is the right path. And I mean, today I don't do this writing anymore that much because I have it now like more internalized, and I have certain thoughts that I have so that I can come back there. But this helped me a lot.
My name is Leila Cupido, and I'm the project manager of the Students Hub. Our team is constantly adding events, teachers, videos, and other resources to take your practice to the next level, improving the quality of your life and the life of the people around you. We do this work for you, so please use it. Hunyuan Qi.
I think this is I'm reminded of another interview I had the other day with a teacher from the US called Federico. So if anybody wants to listen to that, it's a very interesting interview as well. And what he spoke about is, because we often say you have to believe in, that it's working. But really, it's very difficult to force someone, including yourself, to believe anything, because either you do believe or you don't. It's not a choice thing to believe, right? But what he was talking about was confidence. You have to have confidence that it is working. And I think confidence you can build up exactly by these small results that you were mentioning. Yes. So you're practicing, you're seeing something moving, you experience there is a change. And that is the confidence, that you have actually, a control over your life, a control over your health, that you can influence the information field. And it's this confidence, that is probably what is easier for people to go into rather than saying, I have to believe, which doesn't work. And so I think that is one point I wanted to make. And the second thing is, I don't know how you knew, because when you got the diagnosis first, you knew nothing about Zhineng Qigong. So you weren't really aware about how important it is to have the right information. But still, it's decided not to share with many people, which was a very smart move on your side. Because, once you've got your whole environment, I was looking at you like, oh my God, this is the sick one and poor you. It's very difficult because they put, unwillingly and obviously with good intention, they put the wrong information into the Qi field. And that's also why, if you went to the Waksha Center or today to any healing retreat, where the Qigong masters organize, they will always look at you you're completely healthy. They will not even, they will not spend a split of a second, on your disease because it's not important. It's not what they want to focus on. They focus on the healthy you, and that's the way they approach you. And that's also why, they don't need much information about you, what's wrong or whatever. They don't even want to go there. They just look at you at the healthy state of you. And, subconsciously, you knew how important it is that your environment also doesn't feed, the wrong information. So that was just amazing. I don't know how you did that, because most people, wouldn't be so clever to take that step. But well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I was really aware of any change in my body. So because I knew the story of my mother, of course, and I lived with her, as a child, of course. And so I think I went to the doctor really early, and I had no, I don't know, like visible thing, that people, I don't know, could see, okay, so there is a sickness or a diagnosis or something. So I think this was maybe another good thing that I started so early, so to prevent it from going further.
Yes. Okay, and then now, so okay, you did more trainings, and did you ever go back to the doctor, or was it the symptoms that you felt like were no longer there, or how did you, because you're sitting in front of me 5 years later, or how long was it ago? 5 years later,
4.
Healthy, beautiful, shining. So that's obviously been very successful what you did. So did you go back to a doctor, or how did you handle the whole situation?
At first I did not go back to the doctor, because I thought they don't have to offer me anything. They can just, I don't know, make a record of, I don't know, anything in my muscle or whatever, if it's like decreasing or whatever. So I didn't go back for many years. So I just kept practicing, and of course there were times where the symptoms came back or worsened. But I had this treasure already of knowing, okay, I already experienced it getting better. So even if it's getting worse now, it will get better. I knew that. So, and I was really confident about that in that moment. And so, I kept practicing. I did a variation of different Zhineng Qigong practices. A lot of Qi, which is pretty easy, but helped me a lot. Because you can make Qi with any organ or any part of your body, every dantian. So I did a lot of Qi with my brain. So this helped me a lot. And then level 1, Hoti up, Hoti down. A little bit of level 2. I learned that in a retreat, and so I mixed some methods. I didn't follow a really strict schedule, but it was really important to really practice a lot and every day. So this is really, really important, I think.
I just want to mention one more point that you said, because I think that's also something that some of our listeners sometimes forget. You said how important it was to have a reference of it has been working. So when things get better, remember that. Remember that you've done your Zhineng Qigong and things got better. Because I also, I think this is very sad. I see people that come with a disease or an illness. They practice Zhineng Qigong. They have a huge success, and then at one point, for whatever reasons, the disease comes back. And although they know now they have done it before, they don't, for whatever reason, often they just don't go back and go, okay, I need to go back into my rigorous routine and training routine to have the same success that I had before. I've seen so many people that although they have the reference that it has been working, are not using it again. And I don't, I've got problems to understand that, because if I had this experience once, if I can do it once, I can do it twice. And I think that's kind of what you knew, and what gave you the confidence that even at days where it wasn't so good, or where you felt like, oops, what's happening here, you had the confidence, you've done it before, so you can do it again, right?
Yeah. And sometimes this is a really good reminder. Like I found for myself a really good reminder, yeah, that maybe there was something, maybe a bit too much stress. Maybe I didn't practice a lot for a longer time. Yeah, just a little bit every day. Yeah. So it was a good reminder to come back to the path. Yeah, and to check in with myself to see, okay, where I am at the moment, what would be good, yeah, which kind of practice and how long should I maybe, yeah, start to train again or practice again every day. Yeah. Okay. And just see it. I don't know. Yeah, I know that fear is the worst thing in all of this, in these diseases and whatever, because of course, whenever there's a new symptom, the first thing that kicks in is fear. Oh my God, now it's happening. Yeah, I could, I don't know, prevent it for some years now. And now it's really kicking in. Yeah. And then to really relax, calm down, come back. And I think this is really helpful as well, that we have this community. Yeah, because we can support each other. Yeah. Yes. And this is something that helped me a lot. Whenever I was a bit maybe like struggling, or I felt, okay, now I got to this point, but I think it's getting worse, so that I could always talk to someone, yeah, or listen to some teachings from Master Liu, for example, yeah, or attend some classes. And then I got back on the path and I felt it again. Okay, it's getting better again. Or I even forgot about the symptoms I was worrying about before.
Right.
So this is always the best sign, when you forget about it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so I think this is really, really important, this kind of community.
Now, we kind of didn't finish the story, but whether you did get a new diagnosis from a doctor or didn't. Did you actually eventually go back, or did you just say, I know I'm healthy? Okay, good.
Yeah, I went back last year in March, like, yeah, more or less 1 year ago. I went to a clinic because then I said, okay, now I really want to know. Yeah, so because before I was, yeah, at a neurologist, one in Berlin, one in Leipzig, but they were here. Yeah, I had appointments, I don't know, for half an hour. And then I went to a clinic in Tübingen, which is specialized in this kind of disease, especially in the genetic forms. So I went there for almost a week, spent like a week in the hospital, and they did every possible test on me. Yeah, so they have this specialized ALS or motor neuron disease department there, and professors and whatever. So, and I went there and I thought, okay, now I'm 3 years into the diagnosis. So if there was something happening, now it would show. Yeah. And they did every test, and the results were like 3 years ago. They said, yeah, there are some signs that this disease started, but it didn't develop any further. So it kept like silent or stable on this point, at this point. Yeah. So there's no progression in it.
Right.
Which is, in their understanding, not possible for this kind of disease. So they said, okay, so yeah, if there's no progression, so you can't have this, because there's the sign of but it doesn't develop any further. So, okay. But this was enough for me, because then I knew, okay, yeah, I know that what I did was the right thing. And now I can really, I don't know, like close this file of this diagnosis and the doctors and whatever. So, yeah.
Yes. And I think this is also an important thing to keep in mind. There is no point to run to the doctor once a week to get an updated diagnosis. Because, sometimes, it's also, sometimes you might be in a better shape, sometimes in a not so good shape. And all you're doing is you're continuously feeding into the wrong information of disease. And you're consistently creating doubts. While, I think it's perfectly fine to just, practice, trust that over time, things might also take time sometimes. So but what you're doing is working. And even though some days might be better and some days might not be so good, you trust the process, you have the confidence that you can do it, and you don't need a diagnosis, every week or something like that. So I think that's also supportive, actually, in your healing progress, rather than, checking every 5 minutes what's going on, what's my current temperature, do I have a temperature or not, or whatever. I think I think that also supported you in continuing to set up the right information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and now let's look. Is there anything you would like to add, or should we look a little bit into the future and who you are now and what your plans are? Because I know you decided to join the Hunyuan Qi Therapy program, and you're already quite far. You're going to be finishing or completing your program, and hopefully getting certified in autumn this year when you go to Austria. So it seems that you really enjoyed Zhineng Qigong so much, and that you believe in the power of it, that you decide to make it at least partly a profession, or what is the plan there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the progress. I started with the Hunyuan Qi Therapy program for myself, for my self-healing at first. But over the time, I know now I'm in a group, like the team that is that are finishing or started with me together. So we are meeting really like constantly, like once a week, to have a exchange and Zoom call and talk to each other. And over the time, I mean, I just kept it for myself practicing. I didn't really share it much, but over the time there were more and more people coming. For example, another woman from Cyprus, Britta, introduced me to her. She has ALS as well, and I'm in contact with her. And so there were different people coming, and I started to have experiences with healing or giving treatments and all this stuff. And
I think that's a wonderful thing, because people will assign a lot of credibility to you. You're not just talking about things; you've actually done it yourself before. So that is a great example of what is possible for them as well. I remember that in children's training, very often, how the master works with the children, he just waits until one of the children has managed to do whatever the exercise was. And if he can do it, then he says to everyone, if he can do it, you can do it. And they get it immediately. If one person has the skill, I don't know, to do spoon bending or read with closed eyes or something like that. If one person can do it, then everybody else can do it. So you, in a way, you being or becoming a therapist now, Hunyuan Qi therapist, it's the same idea, because people know, okay, if she could do it, then I could do it. Because nobody is less. Everybody has the same abilities to do these things if they feed the right information, obviously, and have the right commitment and the right intention for their life. So congratulations to that, and I'm sure you'll be hugely successful and have a lot of fun along the way. And this conversation today, I think, is also a great start, because people that are listening in, that have a diagnosis like yours or something else that is very serious, they need to hear about people that said, okay, I'm going to turn this around. I'm not just trying to manage the illness, or I'm not just getting a medication to make it less painful or something like that. I'm really looking into this and say, okay, it doesn't have to be that way, because there are ways. And I'm not just talking about Zhineng Qigong here now, or Hunyuan Qi Therapy. Obviously, there are also other great forms in the world that might resonate with somebody in a different way. But there's not a single disease that I'm aware of haven't been people that used something other than Western medicine and were very successful.
That's true.
So I can't thank you enough for the conversation, Maike. I know it's very, very helpful. It was a pleasure to have you on the show to talk to you today. And thank you very much for sharing all of this with the community. And I look forward to see you one day in person, maybe in Austria, or maybe on one of your other Qigong trips.
Yes. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
We trust you enjoyed this conversation, and we invite you to subscribe to our podcast so we can stay in touch and notify you of future episodes. We will end today's episode with the 8 verses meditation performed by Zhineng Qigong teacher Katrin Hendricks. Enjoy. To get your free ebook on the 8 Verses meditation, please check the show notes below.